day, we'll bring you up-to-date information. Weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine.
The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. This is a show that talks about political government policies better to the people. My name is Rachel David White, and I am your anchor, of course.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. It's a delight to be here.
All right, so today we'll take a look at some social issues, of course, as it concerns Nigeria. Officers have finally emerged, and the Speaker Abbas has already announced them, and of course the Senator, according to report, federal government has decided to, of course, take VAT from the traders and informal sectors as well, and of course days in office, and of course some of his policies since he assumed office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These are the issues we intend to look at. Just stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So today on the show, the Law of the People and Governance, will take a look at some key issues that are happening here in Nigeria, other social issues in the state as well. So before I go on the show, let me ask Shegun as usual, how are you feeling? Okay, no, I've got your coverage, so I'm fine. I'm good.
Very well.
Okay.
Nice to know.
Okay, so a quick one. Let's get to the stories. Of course, the reports that we have for the week. The names of the key figures comprising the majority and minority leadership within the legislative body. I think it's sacrosanct to do that.
Exactly. The following individuals have been assigned. He assumes Senate Majority Leader role, Okoyemi Bamidele, a seasoned lawmaker with reputation for his astute. Bamidele is poised to provide strategic direction and coordination to the majority party within the Senate. Has been assigned a role of Deputy Majority Leader. Umahi's ability to forge consensus among diverse groups and effectively. Mohammed Ali Ndume becomes Senate Majority Whip. With the crucial role of Senate Majority Whip, his duties will involve
amongst them Lola Ashiru, appointed as Deputy Majority Whip. Lola Ashiru is her role will entail assisting the Senate Majority Whip in enforcing Parliament. Mwadkon assumes Senate Minority Leader role. I've been appointed as a Senate Minority Leader. His vast knowledge of parliamentary procedures and his ability to Oyewumi Olalere, he takes on Deputy Minority Leader position. Of course, he's respected. His strong communication skills, and unwavering dedication to promoting inclusively the party. Away from that, we also have Darlington Mokocha. He becomes the Senate Minority Whip, and of course, he's a seasoned Senate Minority Whip. Mokocha's responsibility will have to include governations as well.
That is very correct. Rufai Hanga appointed as Deputy Minority Whip. Hanga's organizational skills and ability to rally support will be pivotal in assisting the Senate minority harmonious and productive environment within the Nigerian Senate, where both major.
Well, just last week we were talking about Tambuwal and Ningi. I think I don't know what to say at this point. Let's just go.
It's okay. Because that they've been able to, elect all the, impastors and journalists and then, you know, make sure that all the appropriate information.
Of course, the federal government, through the Federal Inland Revenue Service, has announced FIRS, that's the Federal Inland Revenue Service, disclosed Market Traders Association of Nigeria to collect and remit as is the agency responsible for collecting valued Nigeria. That's MARTAN. Was founded in 1990 of over 40 million.
That's very correct. The FIRS noted that this informal sector, adding this collaboration is known as collections and remittance in the marketplace and informal sector. While on scheme, they also noted that MARTAN has a digital platform that enumerates their members, giving them a digital kind that will utilize technology to foster collaborations between the FIRS and the marketplace for the collection and remittance of VAT, according to FIRS, says will help tax collectors.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the point where I really understand, because when I said, I was like, wow, I could remember what you said. So Nigeria's value-added tax VAT increased by first quarter of this year, and the manufacturing sector accounted for the largest share of VAT collection in the first quarter of this year at 29.65%, contributed 12.24% of VAT collection during the same period. And the Federal Inland Revenue Service has made available administration solution Tax Pro Max, and Tax Pro Max enables seamless registration tax as well as other credits to the taxpayer's account, and of course input VAT and the value added tax on the price paid for eligible goods or services. Firms that are VAT registered can understand about this, you know, VAT issue for informal sector and market traders. You know, there are so many times you go for reports and then you get to find out that they are calling on the government to come to their aid, multiple taxation, different people self-acclaimed tax collectors in the market and all of that.
Well, well, I would say until it starts, you know, informal sector, again, which are the masses, will not complain about it, is what I'm particularly concerned about.
Well, that's true.
I think it's an avenue of increasing or widening the tax net. Let's see how it goes. So away from that, our major, the third story today, which happens to be the major story we're going to be following. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Saturday at the famous Eagle Square in Abuja after a keenly contested presidential election on the 25th of February. In his inaugural speech, President Tinubu harped on the need to reshape the economy of Nigeria, foster unity and forbearance among the various ethnic groups, and diversify means to ensure quality education, healthcare, noting that the funds would induce to revitalize other sectors. Meanwhile, Tinubu's 1 month in office has been greeted with many assessments.
First 30 days in office, there's so many things to look at, and of course I think we'll just do the parts we need to do today, because I don't want us to rush over and then we'll just continue tomorrow. But going in there, the first 30 of subsidy, appointment of the chief of staff, CSOs, and the secretary to the government of the federation, appointment of special advisors and aides, suspension from office of the CBN governor Godwin Emefiele, and the exchange rate by floating the naira, appointment of new service chiefs, suspension of the boards of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, minor things to even talk about, even introducing a 1,000 naira ownership proof of ownership rather fee for motorists. Yes,
exactly. All right, real quick, we will be introducing our guest. Our guest today will be joining us virtually. His name is Commission. Mr. Madi held the position of Special Advisor to the President of the Senate of Nigeria. He is the Director of the Center for Public Policy and Research in Lagos, Nigeria, and Senior Legal Officer at the Human Rights Law Service in Nigeria. In 1995. Dr. Sam Amadi, it's nice to have you on the show, sir.
Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
Can you hear us clearly, Doctor? Forgive us, sir. Can you update us? Are you still a doctor or a professor now?
2019, when I left the university.
Exactly, sir. We got the hint.
Abuja School of Social and Political Thought. So
you're most welcome, sir.
So
you're most
you
welcome.
can still call me Dr. Sam.
All right, sir. All right, Dr. Sam. I literally had to edit your CV because if we say and governance, it's so nice to have you around.
Thank you very much.
All right, basically, sir, just like
Thanks very much.
Yeah, just like every other part of mainstream media since His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There's been a lot of assessment of a few of his activities, policies, actions, inactions, decisions, and what have you. First 100 days. I just want you to, start with that tone. How would you personally, describe his, his first 30 days plus in office?
I think I would say, well, eventful. Eventful because, like Governor Emefiele of the Central Bank, removal of Bawa without suspension from around 185 naira to 540 in many places. A dollar to naira to exchange an official rate of about $700 to a naira, to $700 naira to a dollar. So these are eventful. These are significant. The World Bank that is promoting removal of fuel subsidy is also saying that about 7.1 million Nigerians will drop into poverty. So if our poverty rate was around 90, the statistics, and then 7 million more is coming, so you're going to have 1.1 or 0.2 million Nigerians in real poverty. We're not talking about deprivation, about impact, not the cataclysmic nature of the actions. Here they are. Some people have held them as bold, courageous. Some people have held them as Professor Dudley Sear said many years ago, the economist. He said the key thing is what happened to three things. What's happened to employment, what's happened to poverty, and what's happened to human welfare.
Of the actions, probably some actions regarding the economy, maybe like removal of subsidy and a few economic activities. Are you saying that is what is responsible for the staggering figure being that there's been issues of rising poverty even before this administration, sir?
50% or 40% poor, which means if we have about 200 million people, then estimation, maybe one of the largest collection of people on the earth. The most part of northern Nigeria, probably the poorest part of the world. So we're really poor before to believe that fuel subsidy is inefficient. Of course, that's a standard economic argument.
That is true.
That subsidizing the best economic policy is to allow prices $5 billion annually to subsidize electricity. And by the 30 years' time, it's going to be estimated around 28 or 30 something billion dollars as part of reaction to the Ukraine war and other issues. So countries in the world are subsidizing access to energy. Yes, because energy is critical, both for human well-being and for economic production. Crisis. That's crisis of revenue and debt, fiscal. We're not generating enough revenue, and we are of revenue to service debt, average. So what that means that we are in a very critical fiscal crisis, and something that individuals can purchase themselves, and there's some good argument for it. Some people who are buying subsidized of fuel in Nigeria is lower than the cost in neighboring countries. The push factor, economic push factor, is that many Nigerians would like to buy this fuel, truck them to those neighboring Niger, Benin Republic, Ghana, or whatever. They come here and buy our cheap fuel, and they make money, and the money does not come to the government. So some good argument. But then again, the manner in which the subsidy was removed is too much on ordinary people. And that's why the NNPC has reported drastic decline. They're not paying a lot. Now that the government is no longer paying for a subsidy and people are not consuming much,
true,
for big business. So we've seen less cars on the road, or commercial and private transactions, but being less on the road. So constrain GDP growth, if not balanced by some kind of
break. When we come right back, the show still continues. Just stay tuned, Doctor. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. Of course, the first 30 days of the president in office and working on,
yes, exactly.
so those are the things we're looking at. Feel free to join the conversation. The phone number will be displayed on the TV screen. Sam Amadi. Yes, of course, so when the show ends, you get back to the show, Dr. Amadi. All right, so Dr. Sam, a quick one. Let me take you back to when you were former executive officer of NERC. Now, from this experience, of course, Nigerians, I'm talking based on the president's policies.
In many places. Now, what that means is, first, it's a change brought about us and saying we want to procure more transformers, we're making more investment, and we think you should, pay more to have better service. No, is based on real macroeconomic considers foreign exchange, inflation rate, bringing a turbine transformer. Then, if there's currency volatility, agents also ask you to hedge that risk by saying that their cost is indexed to exchange rate. So if I bought dollar at 100, if the exchange rate is now triple, so maybe the cost will now be like $60 million. So a cost profile that was 20 million, that the richest man in Africa, or Dangote has lost XYZ billions. It's not lost because Dangote Cement had accident fired. No, it could be that. So that's what's happening in the market. So this change is to say, look, with this escalation, 5 or minus 5% change in one inflation rate, because inflation rate means that the value of money, their naira is weaker to the dollar, and if this gas is the main feedstock for power, the power is cheaper because gas has dropped. If gas goes in quantity, so all these things now are re-indexed every 6 months. That's what they're doing. So now, because of the jump from the cost, and that's what is responsible for the escalator. And again, in the past months or years, NEC has refused to allow the discos get their 6-monthly review because that will. But the implication of all this is put electricity tariff increase, put fuel PMS tariff hike, which is very high, put unemployment, youth unemployment of about 50 to something, unemployment for the highest inflation rate. We have the lowest, maybe per capita GDP. We have very low rate, about 33 naira, 30,000 naira that's even not paid is equivalent of.
There are also third world countries.
So
that's right.
Together,
that's right, Doctor.
I mean, Chad is one of the poorest in the world.
That's right, Doctor.
So essentially, that's why the World Bank is predicting a 7 million drop to poverty. I mean, poverty is not, most of us are poor, including food,
that is abject
including health
poverty,
care,
Doctor.
Everything.
Most vulnerable.
There's a lot of work to be done. Of course, begin with a step. So with all his actions, inactions, but away from that, Doctor, I'd like to quickly let's move to the area of national security and the area of national unity. The Nigerian citizens cut across 6 geopolitical zones have never been disunited. All sorts of things that really divide a nation and hinder nation building. If there are terms and very short, because we still have a few things to cover, what would you advise? Because the first role of a president is to ensure that there is sustainability of this Nigeria.
A year ago, I said we had a terrible election. You have to acknowledge that we have a terrible election. And said this, even though the Supreme Court validated this election, we said it was a terrible election, and went about holding a small mandate. Look, 8 million people. This is one of the lowest apart from Shagari's era, the lowest about 3%. We didn't win the major cities, Lagos, FCT, major cities in the country,
yes,
didn't win them. The main cosmopolitan states didn't win them. So you have groups to co-opt. You need to have a shared governance, and it's been challenged.
True.
Very serious, actually. As
true.
A lawyer,
True.
Can
I will get there soon.
In the meantime, build broad consensus. For example, we saw the election of March, how people of East, Southeast, even Southern as well, not Yorubas, who were mistaken for even Igbos. There are many
Exactly.
people at Akwa Ibom who looked like Igbo or
True.
had Igbo affiliations.
True.
Those are things you have to address. And going forward, you have to maintain a certain dignity of language. I'll be careful about symbolisms, who you visit, who you meet. If you are meeting firebrands, the people who helped to rig election, or people who communicated some degree of people who were opposed to you, the people who had a different view. So you just like Abraham Lincoln did, the government of right trust. The government has very weak legitimacy, honestly, politically, because once you had, look at it, let's even assume the results are correct. 8 million, 6 million, I think 5 or 4 million. It's the difference between you and the last person about 2 something votes. The second person. So clearly,
I think it's less than 2 million, but continue.
Mandate, and therefore you need to. Huh?
I think it's less than 2 million. Did you...
Absolutely. So it's really a marginal victory. We know that likely tribunal, no matter the outcome, will reverse some votes that are clear.
Yes. As high up as the Supreme Court, however they go, will eventually do the interpretations and give us. We'll be following you. We've been following you. We follow some of your debates in public spaces, especially commentator when it comes to the proceedings at the PEPT, that's the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. And we know that you are also want to know the feelings, of the average Nigerian from the intellectual perspective. We have to run through some of the Presidential Election PEPT, that's the Presidential Election, as they have asked, that they have refused to give documents. And your comment was very, very clear. The one for 19th of June, 19th in this manner. Can the PEPT send a Gani, put the judiciary on trial, go after impunity? What exactly were you trying to express here, sir?
If you have been following it like you do, you discover that everything is so.
Yeah. True.
But we have made it so. It's very time bound. If something is over, it's over, even if it's clear as control the proceeding. In fact, the niceties of subpoena, if there's a need for anything, the tribunal can order it immediately. Electoral justice requires active judiciary because you are not, the people who are involved, people who claim that both Tinubu, Atiku, and Obi are claiming not just as banter between two people, hide and seek. So A can receive a little bit.
So, doctor, are you saying that as far as these proceedings have opinion, because I know you've been monitoring each proceeding, would you say it's fair, or would you say that there are some tactics to deal
that? I say INEC is being shielded, and maybe the judges can say it's part of judicial, even-handedness. Okay, we sit back, not intentional. That's why I use the word.
Okay,
maybe their own understanding of procedure and the pursuit of procedure to defer too much to litigants. That's why you see cases go to 7 years, 8 years. I'm in support of a procedure that judge can say, no, I don't agree with you, bring this in, I want to see it myself. Look at the case in the US. Look at how judges, whether it's the case of who want to do, and the lawyers themselves are more aggressive in presenting to judges with experience to look at things. So we can't say we need documents to prove that you read the election.
Exactly.
And you first go to court and say, clean.
I'm excited what you're saying because I know you are a lawyer. So you can see it very, very clear. Doctor, time is never enough for us to, to completely exhaust this thing. See, on this tweet, I can't see the date. And you made a statement. You said it looks like to defend government, you have to be very Twitter influencer like you are. So why do you feel that to be able to defend this current administration, which we know you constructively criticize?
So sarcastic on the tweet because
of course I know
about the president having 1,000. That's true.
Yeah.
But the point is, why would governors waste public money?
True.
The president came from France. Go to his village, to go and meet him. So it doesn't matter. The 100 vehicles in the president to go, or more than 100 to go there and see the president. So the way Tolu and others reacted, essentially is like to waste. And organizations,
Okay,
you don't need to
Dr. Sam Amadi,
attack
thank you
the
so
people who are
much.
complaining.
Thank you so much. Because of time, we can't really continue. Continues because assessing the president's 30 days in office, of course, we need to take a look at so many things. Thank you so much. Dr. Sam Amadi is the former chair to the president of the Senate of Nigeria, director of the Center for Public Policy and Research in Lagos, Nigeria, and a senior legal me Chambers from 1993 to 1995. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, sir.
TV screen story. We couldn't take any reactions, but trust me, the show still continues tomorrow. And of course, we'll still be assessing the presidents in tomorrow. Thank you so much. My name is Rachel David White.
And my name is Onwesi Ehinoma. The conversation continues. Have a lovely evening. See you tomorrow.